Hello everyone and welcome to the first round of the FIA Exhibition Season 2019, and we're doing the Manufacturers round first of all. You're probably like, Tidge, this was ages ago, why are you showing this me now? Well, I want to get back into doing some of these highlights. I know some of you like highlights rather than trying to find the live stream. If you want to watch the live stream, of course, that is in the description. But yes, this is going to be the highlight. So first of all, our fastest lap. As you can see on the right hand side, we have a 1:54.8, a very good banker lap. And as you can see, at the moment, we are in pole position. So any improvement here is good. We can actually go more risk here because we have that banker lap in place. We know it's a good time. We can push ourselves a little bit. As you see, we're already a 10.5 down coming through this sector here as we continue to this left-hander. Very tricky left-hander this. You've really got to get it on the inside, and we just run slightly wide there, costing ourselves a little bit more time. As we power up the hill now, the Audi R8 very good in straight line. Of course, a bit more slippy on the corners, of course, so you do have to be careful, and that's where tyre wear comes into play a little bit. As you can see, we've gained a tiny bit. Obviously, we've lost a little bit of fuel, so we've actually got a bit more speed. But we're still a 10th down, basically. And coming through here, you can see we're pushing really hard. Absolutely insanely hard. As we drop to third gear, 102, 101 apex there. And then continue on down towards this left-hander. Again, another very tricky corner. You've got to come in at a certain angle. You don't want to go all the way to the right. That will push you wide. And just as we come through this corner, Gr.3 gets into pole position. 4 attempts ahead. But look, we're purple. Yes, we're on it here. We're going to push like hell now. We can still get this fastest lap as we approach this blind left-hander. We just come in a bit too hasty, and unfortunately run a little bit wide there. It costs us a lot of time because it, of course, compromises this right-hander because we're so far to the right already. As we then head towards the left hairpin, and in we go. A little bit of rotation there, which is kind of what we want. Only on this fast lap, of course. Me against you, jumping ahead as well, 1.5 attempts. Are we going to manage to get into that P2? We are indeed. Unfortunately, we were purple earlier. That mistake has cost us that pole position. But Gr.3 there with a fantastic lap of a 1:54.5. Me against you there in third place. That was Pump Cube, by the way, for those that are a little unsure. Anyway, here we go with the final race. And what we'll do, as we normally do, we're going to, or as we used to, because we haven't been done these for quite a while, we're going to whiz through this grid and have a look who is in there. Give yourselves a shout out. Shout in the comments below if you see yourself in this video. So Gr.3 on pole position there, that 1:54.5 we saw earlier, then myself in P2. Me against you, P3 there in the Mercedes. P4, VP Isaac, what a cracking racer Isaac is. OP34 in P5. Burrs in P6. We'll talk about Burrs during this video as well. Kelster P7 in that Lamborghini Huracan. Taki in P8 in the Aston Martin. Taki's racing 2 manufacturers. SVDR there. P9. Spreadnuts in P10. P11. Ghost Chevalier. P82 in P12. That's VW Power for those that don't know. Nun Andrade. P13. CNF Blazer. P14. P15. G. Thanks Obama there. P16. Human Z. P17. VP Doffra. Back from the Project Cars 2 days. P18. Carry WRX. P19. TX3 Kipso. And then in P20. Race Mans. Once again in a Lamborghini Huracan. A few drivers picking Lamborghini this season. Not many picking Audi. Thankfully, of course, obviously we want to be the only driver in EMEA. Very tricky car to drive, the MR cars, even now. But even so, we kick off as Gr.3 gets underway. Gonna pull in behind, get a bit of slipstream as we approach this first turn. Another tricky corner. Maggiore in reverse is a very tricky course. And as you see there, we're actually in the wrong gear. And it costs us a significant amount of time. You get used to a rhythm and you come in a gear less, you still shift the same amount. That's that cause there. So as we come into this left-hander, me against you is all over the back of me at this point in that Mercedes. It's going to be very good here as well. Remember, tyre wear is very critical in MR cars. So I'm going to have to manage the tyre wear a little bit more, which means I can't drive as aggressive as I'd like to in this car, because then the rear will slide, I lose rear grip. Potentially, by the end of the stint, I'm losing more time than I'm losing at this point, which is why we drive the way we do. So come into this left-hander. I know if I can get a good run out of here, it should help me, but there's going to be a lot of slipstream. Me against you, however, gets a very good run out there. Of course, if you look at the TV camera right inside, we also have VP Isaac in there. As I say, I've raced VP Isaac for so long. Nice to see him racing a GT Sport. And there's a big queue of cars there. Burrs just at the back of that queue. Kelster a little bit more further behind there. So we'll see what happens going through here. Again, look, me against you all over the back of me there. So I've just got to keep it smooth. You can see me against you on the radar there, taking a much better line. Going to have a much faster run through this corner. But we managed to keep it. So we're going to have to go a little bit defensive here. So we're going to stay to the left a little bit more. It just shows me against you that we are being defensive here. Took our line there. through. There we go, absolutely no problem. We have a quick scan behind us, and we see Me Against You has a penalty. That was for that left-hander, I think it is anyway, where he took a much better line, which has cost Me Against You some serious positions there. This is our second go at this round, of course. See Burrs getting up to third place there as they come into this right-hander in the background. You can just see that on the TV camera. I am going to try and do some edits where the TV camera is in the forefront of this, but it was a little bit bugged, the camera. You'll see it disappear later on in the race. As we continue out of here, unfortunately for Burrs, he hits that barrier with his left rear quarter, and it spins him round, unfortunately. So losing a lot of positions there as we advance further on to lap number 3 now, or towards the end of lap number 3, should I say. Here you can see TRL Aug is 3 seconds ahead. We've got OP34 1.5 seconds behind. And in this situation, I could have maybe chanced a one-stop because the tyres were better than expected. I'd obviously learnt from the previous attempt at this. But in this situation, I was like, let's be safe. Let's just come in the pit. So here we go. We're down into the pits. We obviously are going to have to be careful a little bit with traffic. But this was the strategy that I was going for in the end. TRL Lightning earlier on had done a one-stop in the McLaren, so big shout out for that. And you're actually also going to see Kelster do a one-stop in this race as well. So we come out this pit, and we can see some cars coming here. We've got Burrs, Anti-NF Blazer there, but Burrs gets through there. Very good move by Burrs. And then we have Blazer behind. Now, I do want to talk about Burrs in this one, because Burrs took a lot of stick earlier on with some other videos. But Burrs in this race drove significantly better than I've ever seen him drive. He drove very smart, very fair. So yeah, big shout out to Burrs for this one, because like even in this situation, in the past I would have thought he would challenge it, but we are in different races at this point. Remember, he's made that mistake earlier on. I did the cutback there, gained the position. He didn't then try and go around the outside and try and force the issue. It was actually very smart racing. So I mean, he could fight it. I'm not saying he shouldn't, but he's in a different race at this point. You know, I've got much fresher tyres. He's going for the one-stop. I've got the two-stop. So I do want to shout out Burrs for that. Really fair. You know, where it's fair, he took a lot of stick in the past. Raced absolutely superbly there. Racing very smart. And he did in the previous attempt at this as well. He raced very smart there as well and very fair. So, you know, Burrs, give yourself a pat on the back, son. You're doing good. As you see on the TV camera, just going back to the racing now, we've got a queue of cars behind us. Mixture of one stop and two stoppers all in the mix there. OP34, of course, in there. Came out behind a lot of this traffic. So I was lost out quite significantly with that two stop. We came out a little bit better off. We've only having to fight against Burrs, and we managed to get a decent cutback. You see Nuno up ahead. So we go for the move on Nuno. A little bit of a dive, but I broke a little bit early as well. Nuno gave me a lot of space there. Thank you very much, Nuno. Again, very smart racing by Nuno there. You know, realising one stop versus two stop, we're not in the same race. Now, the guys further up ahead on the one stop, we are in the same race, because at that point the gap is, you know, 4.5 seconds. SVDR coming in the pits. Obviously, also on the two stopper. It's coming in that lap later, so he only has 2-3 lappers to do as we continue on towards this first corner. We're going to have a look how much we catch Ghost now in this situation. It was 4 seconds, was 4.5, obviously, before we crossed the line. Let's actually have a look how fast this gap drops down, because this is where you get the idea of how fast a one-stop versus two-stopper is, because you can see that time is dropping constantly. At this point, Ghost tyres are pretty much ruined. We're obviously on the faster part of our stint at this point. Tyres fairly fresh, a little bit of red in there, but we're pushing on. Look at this, 2.5 seconds. So in half a lap, we've gained 2 seconds essentially. As we continue on through here, we've also made a mistake somewhere there, because we've lost 2 tenths on what was a 3 tenths up on the lap. As we now continue towards the left-hander, and as you see, that gap now 1.8, 1.7, 1.6, 1.5 is constantly coming down here. Tyres taking an impact now as well, because we're losing that time we had gained earlier on. As we go into this left-hander, a two-stop also, remember, allows us to be that little bit more aggressive, which is kind of critical when you do a two-stop. You've got to be aggressive, but we can't be over-aggressive in an MR car due to those rear tyres. If they spin up too much, our last lap in any stint is going to be very, very costly. As we now come through the right-hander, of course, we're expecting all the one-stoppers to come in, but usually Kelster doesn't, which is significant. Obviously, as an MR car, he's going to struggle anyway with his rear tyres, and we'll see that later on in the lap. Again, we're just fast forwarding to catch up to Kelster. We saw how much we caught up to Ghost. The same situation is going to happen here. If you look at the gap between me and OP as well, that gap has gone up by about a second from before the pit stops. OP struggling significantly with the traffic there, you know, came out behind a lot more cars than I did, so I had a lot more work to do. As you see now, we've really caught up to Calster. 0.6 of a second, that gap, as we then come into these corners. And now you're going to see the difference in tyre wear, how significant this is. So we've come through here, it's down to 0.5, but Calster really struggling. A little bit of lag there from Calster. I think Calster mentioned later on stream that he apologised for that little bit of lag. It's not his fault. Do you know what? Everybody lags. You've seen me lag occasionally. See there, the gap came significantly down. Calster really struggling. So we go for the move down the inside. Very easy move to do there. Calster just moving again, a little bit of lag. No issues though. All happy days. We're all safe and sound, and we continue on. Calster again really struggling. But the key significant thing for Calster is he's going to have fresher tyres than the other one-stoppers, only having to do one less lap on them. And with a fast car like Calster's Lamborghini Huracan, very quick in a straight line, he's actually going to have quite a significant advantage. So we'll keep an eye out for that later on. But look at that gap already up to 1 second. Tyrrell Aug comes in early. This was unusual. I wasn't expecting Aug to come in this early. So he came in a lap later than us. He's then come in at the same time as the one-stopper. It's kind of nice to do this a little bit because then he remains ahead of all the one-stoppers. And the Porsche is able to do this because it's significantly better on tyre wear. Very stable car. You know, you can push a little bit more aggressive. So with a fantastic driver like Tyrrell Aug, he really can get unique strategies done in that car as well. So a bit further on, laps number 7, we're obviously coming in on this lap. We've done our 4 laps then. Tyrrell Aug only 2 seconds behind us, and he's done all his stops now. As you can see, we're not putting fuel in. We do a little bit of maths on our fingers like normal, just make sure we don't have a Brands Hatch moment like we did in the official season, and then we exit the pit. So who are we going to come out behind? There's Ghost. Calster's coming along. We just try and get to the apex just before Calster. We just make that. But Calster going to go for the cutback here. So he's going to have a significant advantage. A lot of acceleration. And on the right-hander. So Calster gets through. We are now racing Calster. And we've quite in 6th place. You know, remember, before all the pit stops, we were 2nd. So we have significant work to do in terms of overtaking and pushing on to try and get that 2nd place. You come through this left-hander. Calster's tyres already worn in. There is a little bit of a phase with these new tyres, guys. I'm not sure whether you're aware of this or not, where they need running in. Literally, there's a point in a tyre where very new tyres don't work initially. Once they've got that little bit of wear in, they then work. Bam, you're on it straight away. So do keep that in mind if you're ever doing qualifying or a race. You can't just go out there and instantly have super grip. They can still be a little bit slippy. Going to come into this left and then right. Got to be very careful here. Bumps can trip your car really wide. And then this is where oversteer can happen. So you've really just got to balance the throttle. As I'm doing here, you can just see that movement in the throttle. It's just balancing it through the corners. Maintaining a speed, maybe increasing the speed 1-2 miles an hour if I have the opportunity to do so. Go for a little move here. Bit of a dive there by me. Calster left the door open. He saw that I went for that move as well. Very aware. Very well aware, Calster there. So big shout out for Calster for that. As I say, it was a bit of a dive on my part. I'm not going to lie, but I'm trying to go for those opportunities because I've got a lot of work to catch up here. You know, as I say, we were 2nd before the pit stops. We are currently 6th. So yeah, good awareness there, Calster. Really good stuff as we come into this left-hander. We made the corner as well, so you know that's a dive bomb that potentially worked. We'll discuss this more in the driving school, of course, because the next episode is overtaking. Carry on, SVDR has come in the pit, so also doing the 2-stopper there. So it's Blazer as well, looking at the left-hand side. So we've gone up a position, we just have a few more positions to make. 3 cars to overtake by the end of the race. We have 3 laps to do it, that's a car a lap. Can we do it? We're all over the back of Calster at this point, which is expected. Calster's now got worn tyres, we're now on the fresh running tyre, so we should be very, very quick on this. Tyrrell Aug with a fantastic 54.7 lap there. Easily got this one. We're 13 seconds behind as well. As you see, we're 4 attempts up on our lap here, and we're just looking for a place to overtake Calster as we come down the hill here. Now this was a bit of a silly move by me, and I don't really think I should have gone for this, mainly because I should have read the situation that there is a straight after. That Lamborghini is faster than the R8. Calster's going to go by anyway, so I actually lost both me and Calster time. So, you know, reviewing this now, I wouldn't have made that move. But even so, I attempted it. We both came out clean. I gave Calster room on the exit, and we continue on. We are also catching Ghost up ahead, and we are catching Tidgney as well. So, you know, Calster's extra lap on the first stint actually is helping him massively here on the 2nd stint. He's keeping me behind, and he's also catching Ghost as well ahead. And as I say, he's also catching Tidgney as well. but he is going to suffer versus me because I'm on even more newer tyres. Same for the guys up ahead of Kelster, Ghost and Taki. They're also on a lot older tyres than mine, so I have the advantage towards the end, especially lap number 11. That should be where this race comes to me at this point. So I'm sticking behind Kelster at this point, as I see we're catching Ghost fairly quick. So coming through here, a little bit of rotation there. Just got to be careful. We don't want to overuse those rear tyres because we want to have the advantage on that lap number 11. That's where we're going to have the most advantage in this race. Going through here, absolutely no issues. Look at Kelster sliding there. Kelster really pushing in that car. Kelster on a pad, remember, as well, so he's doing very well in that car. Tyre wear, a bit more of an issue on a pad versus a wheel, especially on the front tyres, which is why an MR car is better for a pad player. Probably something I need to talk about in the tyre episode. Anyway, looking here, Kelster left the door open a little bit here, so I put my car there. So at this point I'm going for the cutback, Kelster. I already know what I'm doing here. Down the inside here. We're going to get this done. Kelster has to give up that position. Could potentially go for the cutback of a cutback, but doesn't manage to pull that off. So we have gained that position from Kelster. At this point, I know I'm going to keep this position because I'll have much more grip than Kelster. I should be able to push towards Ghost. So we head towards the left-hander now. We're looking to get a good run out of here. Ghost runs slightly wide. I run a little bit wide, but not as much, and I just put the power down. I've got so much more grip here. The power goes straight down. The R8 is fast in a straight line anyway. We get past Ghost, and Ghost actually lets off a little bit here. You'll just watch that now on the radar. Just lets off a little bit. I get my line. He manages then to get a decent view of where my car is, so he can get a perfect line through those corners there, and we'll have a fight with Kelster. Now we're pushing towards Taki. We have 1 lap to catch Taki, or 1.3 laps, however you want to call this. But we've got to catch Taki as fast as we can, just so that we can get back that P2, and at least then our 2-stop strategy is still worked out. TRL Aug in another time zone, so there's no way we're catching him. As we continue on. Actually, funny to talk about TRL Aug actually. This track is where we qualified for the Manufacturers' Cup final at Salzburg, Maggiore. We both raced fairly well there. Got the Peugeot into, I think it's P3 from memory. And that obviously gave us an opportunity for the trophy that we got at Salzburg. So shout out to TRL Aug. I always give him a shout out because we were teammates for Peugeot back at Salzburg. All good. Obviously in the Audi at this point in time, and we got Taki up ahead in the Aston Martin. I say Taki's racing for 2 manufacturers at the moment, which again is very questionable. I will always question that. You should not race multiple accounts in FIA. Please do not do it. It does get looked into. You know, I'm not joking when I say this. It's against the rules. They do look into these double accounts, so you know, just be very wary about doing it. Taki's racing for Aston and Jaguar at this point, but at the moment here he's racing on his non-Phantom account, which is Aston Martin. Going through here, look how much we gain on Taki there. Just that much more grip. An MR car can turn better through the corners. That Aston Martin going to be struggling on the front tyres due to the understeer. So coming again through here. So I know what I'm going to do at this point. I'm going to make sure Taki runs tight because then I can get a fast run out this corner. Remember, that's where we overtook Ghost. So if we can get a good run out there, as you see, I tried to straight line it out there. Get a little bit of slipstream, get to the left of Taki. The minute we align our car with Taki, even if the Aston Martin gets a little bit more grunt towards the end of it, as you see there, we start to equal out our speed. It's my corner at this point. If you're even on the outside there, you're going to struggle, and you're going to see Taki lose a lot of time from not giving that up. Where Ghost gave it up, look at how much more ground Taki lost versus Ghost to me. So we've managed to get that P2. A good race, I think, from my part. You know, I was smart with my decisions, except trying to overtake Kelster at that banked hairpin. That one I should have waited for. We've managed to overtake a few drivers there. Good, interesting race. We get Shu up to 6th position again after that penalty, so you know he's done well there. And say Burrs as well. I've shouted out Burrs before. Fair play to Burrs. In this round, he was racing very smart, very fair, very clean. Yeah, shout out to Burrs as well. So coming through his right-hander now. Look at that fuel. Absolutely no problem. All good. The tyres pretty worn, as you can see. We did go a bit aggressive with the overtakes, so they do get a bit more worn. Coming through this last corner now, 13.3 seconds from TRL Aug. We are going to take that 2nd position. Happy days. Happy days. And that was around 2,800 points. Or 600, no, 2,600 points, sorry. I apologise, 2,600 points. So a good start to the season there for myself in the Audi R8. Now we're going to review all the other races of this season, and going forward we will always have a little highlight video of the best race of that round for each Nations Cup and Manufacturers Cup. We only did Manufacturers Cup for the first round, just due to time. It was on a Wednesday, of course, and there are your results. I'd say I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching. There's another video there, or video playlist at least, if you want to watch another one. My logo's there if you want to subscribe. Any constructive criticism, fire in the comments. If you just want to write that you loved the video, write that in the comments as well. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching.